Shalom. Apostle Star coming back at you with the truth, giving all praise to Yahweh by Shem Yahweh Shai by Shem Rakakwadash. And I'm going to entitle this video, A Fascinating Fact About Alexander the Greek, or Alexander the Great, however you want to call him. Anyway, I was watching this video put up by GMS Info Doc, Channel 11, which is the Apostle Ramlab, and he had mentioned in the video, I'm more than halfway into it, and he had mentioned in the video that I said in another video that I went into Maccabees and I said somebody should, go into the history of Maccabees. Maybe I could do it, maybe somebody else. So he, grabbed at it and did this video, history and the scriptures. So I'm listening to it, and he's going into Alexander, the Greek. We call him the Greek. They call him the Great. And I said, let me go to Google and just put in some words and see what pops up. I think I put Alexander the Greek. Is Alexander the Greek mentioned in the Bible, or however I did it? And anyway, one site came up, and this is the Trumpet. And this is the trumpet.com. Alexander the Greek was mentioned in the Bible, and he knew it. And I was a little surprised that they did this write-up. So you have Edomites, and the Trumpet, by the way, I don't know if you're old enough to remember, what's his name? Armstrong, W. something Armstrong. They had a TV show called The World Tomorrow. It was this old Edomite. And what was said about him, he was supposed to be Elijah. That was the thing, that was Elijah coming back. And they kind of knew them. They knew the scriptures. They knew a lot of prophetical stuff, But the Trumpet is a website, and it's also a magazine where I used to get it delivered to me. I might go on this page and see if I can get it delivered. Again, it will deliver the magazine to you for free. And at the end of the year, they'll give you a card, and they'll say, do you still want to get this magazine? And you say yes, send it back, and they keep sending it to you. But maybe I missed the card or something. But I hadn't got a magazine in a while. Anyway, it was Apostle Ramlab's video that made me to lead me to this video. And I don't want to read the whole thing, but I'm going to... Actually, there's a... you know what? Let me do it this way. Bear me for a minute. Okay, right here. Right here, if you can see it, it says at the top of the page. I wasn't at the top. It says, Alexander the Great was mentioned in the Bible, and he knew it. I'm just going to jump around. Anyway, you can listen to, it says this is the second paragraph. If you're not familiar with the intriguing chapter of history, you may be astounded to learn how Alexander reacted to that statement. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me read from the top. It says, the civilization-altering life of Alexander the Great is well known to most students of history, historians, people that study history. But there is one chapter of this saga that is as seldom discussed as it is fascinating. Now, and when I use the term fascinating in this subject, I'm not talking about this. I'm talking about something else. It says, not only was Alexander's reign predicted in the Old Testament long before he was born. And this is how we know that this is the book that you can't match this book with any other book, because it deals with prophecies. The scriptures is the only book that tells you about the mark of the beast, and I think it's in every translation. What I'm going to do is I'm going to check. I'm going to go to as many translations as I can find to see if it speaks about the mark of the beast in Revelation, the 13th chapter. It says so that would mean that you really don't need the King James Version. We go by the King James Version. We're used to the way it's written, the these and the thous. We're used to that. You have other translations of the scriptures that might not have the these and the thous, but a more modern English. But then they change whole sentences. They take whole words out, whole verses out. They change the whole meaning of it. So, you got to be careful. We deal with the King James because the King James is pretty standard. People understand. When you read out of the King James, people, the great readers, you have this guy, Alex Scorby. He reads the King James, the whole Bible. And you have other readers, and the scripture that they mostly use, not saying that they don't use others, but they mostly use is the King James. And I believe the Gideon Bible, if you ever stayed at a hotel, you open up the drawer, there's always a Bible in there. It's called the Gideon Bible, and I believe that's the King James Bible, but it's a Gideon company, society that puts those together. And you go to the hotel, you open it up, you can take the Bible, you can read it, you can put it back in the drawer, you take the Bible, you put another one there. But I believe it's the King James. Anyway, it goes on to say that he was spoken about in the Old Testament before he was born. But when Alexander visited Jerusalem, the high priest showed him those. By the way, and Josephus is recorded that when he saw the high priest, he had a dream that he actually saw them, that he was going to encounter them. And what he did was he bowed down to him and gave him gifts. And it was said, why are you bowing down to these people? You're supposed to conquer them. As you read this article right here, it tells you all the various dark nations that he conquered. But like it reads, when he encountered the Israelite high priest, he bowed down to him. And what was found out was that he dreamt that he saw those. He said, I dreamt that I seen these individuals. And one of the priests, if not more than one, pulled him to the side and showed him that he was the rough goat in Daniel 8 and the leopard in Daniel the 7th chapter. So he definitely, Alexander the Greek definitely fulfilled prophecy. It actually mentioned the first king in Daniel 8 is the king of Grecia, or the king of Greece. It says the high priest showed, and then if you go to the Apocrypha, it actually mentions Alexander. It mentions Alexander's father. It mentions the 4 generals that came from him. It mentions Antiochus Epiphanes, that wicked root. So, I mean, if you can't see in Daniel 8 that it says the first king is the king of Grecia, is Alexander. Well, if you go to the Apocrypha, it actually mentions his name and mentions his father's name. It mentions his name as Philip of Macedonia, because he came out of Macedon, and said that Alexander was born in Cyprus, which was known as Kittim at that time. It's that island, they call it the boot of Italy, because Italy is shaped like a boot. And southeast of the boot, I guess the hill part, you have this island, and that's Cyprus, which is back then was called Kittim. And he was supposedly born out of Kittim. Now, maybe some scholars might argue that, but the studies that I've read, secular and otherwise, he was from Kittim. Scriptures say he was from Kittim. born in Kittim. Anyway, it says the high priest showed him those Bible prophecies. So he obviously showed him Daniel 7 and Daniel 8. It says, and Daniel 11, yep. The first couple of verses. It said the priest explained Alexander, these prophecies are about you. If you're not familiar with the intriguing chapter of history, you may be astounded to learn how Alexander reacted to that statement. And you have something that you can listen to. It said, listen to our podcast about this fascinating story here. So you don't even have to read. All you got to do is listen. Okay, what I want to do is I jump down past the background, but I'm going to come back to it. A campaign of conquest. Yeah, this is a good read so far. Anyway, campaign of conquest. I'm just going to jump around. It says almost immediately after ascending the throne, Alexander embarked. He ascended the throne because he was a king. The thing that made the fourth beast that was so dreadful and terrible and had iron teeth that was so different from the other beasts that they didn't sit as kings. They sat as Caesars, which you were voted in by the Senate. So that was one of the major differences. It says, going into these scriptures, and just like Apostle Ramlab said, he said now a lot of these Christians are going into the Apocrypha. They talked all kind of shit about the Apocrypha. Now they throwing the Apocrypha at us. Wait a minute, brother, the Edomites are done away with if you go to Maccabees, 2 Maccabees 5. Now they're going into the Apocrypha. You know what I'm saying? We're their teachers, man. We're their prophets. We're their teachers. We're showing Christians how to really understand these scriptures. It says almost immediately after ascending the throne, Alexander embarked on the great military crusade that his father had spent years preparing for, because his father wanted to be that guy in prophecy, because they had their own prophecy that there was going to be a great king. And Philip of Macedonia wanted to be that king, but he found out it was his son. The conquest of the Persian Empire, because when you go to Daniel the 7th chapter, we always go to this. We go to it so much that we know it by heart. Daniel the 7th chapter, the lion with the eagle's wings that stood up upon his feet and had, what was it? And there was a man's heart given to it, blase. And then even in Daniel the 2nd chapter, the head of gold, that's the Babylonians. I mean, everybody knows that. Any Bible historian, even that's in actual history, that order. The Babylonians, the Medo-Persians, the Greeks, and the Romans. It said the quest of the Persian Empire. So the second empire to come into power was the Persian Empire, the Medo-Persian Empire. The third empire, which was the leopard, the Persian Empire was the bear that stood upon one side and had 3 ribs in its mouth. Because he took down Babylon, the Medes, and I believe it was Egypt. Got to go back and double check. It says for several generations before Alexander, the Persian Empire had dominated much of the known world, including some Greek cities. Many in Greece and Macedonia felt that it threatened the very existence of the Greek way of life. And by the way, the Greeks, this whole Hellenized philosophy is based upon Jake, and you're going to find out about that. That's Jake. You ever eat Greek food, man? Greek food? Dietitians and nutritionists will tell you, they said that one of the best foods to eat is a Greek Mediterranean diet, which is Greek food. And we eat that a lot. They deal with a lot of salads, they deal with a lot of olives, a lot of greens, a lot of tomatoes, they deal with a lot of whole foods. And, I never There was never in my life I ate Greek food and got sick or threw it up. Now, if you eat, Popeye's chicken sandwich, you may get sick. Anyway, it says, just before entering into Asia Minor, to wage the campaign, Alexander's mother pulled him aside and told him that his true father was not Philip. Now, this is that old bullshit, because back then they believed in the gods and you're part God. And when I read down, you're gonna find out. It says that was his father, but he said, "Well, this is really not your father, but none other than Zeus." I'm almost thinking, shit, Alexander might be a Greek. Hell, his mother Israelite. His mother might be an Israelite, man. It said the king of the Greek was a pantheon, which means all gods. She had always told him that, and I wouldn't be surprised if I found out that she was an actual Israelite, a dark-skinned woman. He was the descendant of Achilles. Remember the famous Achilles, the movie Troy? That first scene when he fought that giant Edomite and the way he took him out, that got you pumped up for that movie, And then the scene where he fought Hector, and that show you that Achilles had to be a Jake. If he moved like that, ain't no Edomites move. That dude move with style and grace, man. When you see Jake, it's one thing to watch a basketball game, but it's another thing to watch an NBA game during the championships where you got whichever team is going to win the championship. Well, you got the Eastern Conference, the Western Conference, but you look at guys. What make guys great is not that you just score points, but the way you score points. People still are fascinated by Michael Jordan because of the way this dude defied gravity, man. And who said this? This guy, the dude from the Boston Celtics, the Edomite, but I believe he might be a Jake. Damn, I can't even remember his name. Shit. I saw him the other day. I saw him on the video. But he said if God came down and wanted to be a ball player, he would come down as Michael Jordan. And the word Michael means godlike. The word Michael means godlike. Maya Ka'ala. Maya Ka'ala. Who like God, or who like the power. Maya Ka'ala. Godlike. It says she had always told him that he was the descendant of Achilles, but now she took this delusion